Okay, hello everyone. So this is another video I wanted to make about the good, the bad, the in-between of what I personally experienced working in Japan through the JET program. I live in Kyoto, Japan, and I teach elementary and junior high kids. So this is what I wrote down. This video is going to be about school. So this is my experiences with anything that has to do with the school system here, me being in a school, the students, the teachers, that kind of stuff. So, being an ALT, I work with quite a few teachers, Japanese teachers, and in total, I think I've got 74 different classes, but maybe like 60 or so different teachers that I work with, or 50 or so. There's a lot, so that's something that I'll talk about now. Okay, so let's start with the bad. Dun dun dun, yeah, they're really bad. Okay, so the first thing that I put down is the students, because oh my god, you can have some of the worst kids ever. Like, okay, kids are kids no matter where you are in the world, they're kids. And you will have amazing kids and you will have the opposite of amazing kids. And being an ALT, you won't have much power to discipline them or like do anything about that because you're just the support and it's the actual teacher who should have a hold on their class, right? Now, I've seen incidents where there's like bullying. I've seen students like bullying the teacher as well. This one teacher said that he had like chairs thrown at him. He's been punched several times. There's some teachers who have ended up getting like broken legs or broken bones. They've been like mentally abused all the time by their students and stuff. Like the bullying is real and it is harsh here. Like the thing about the kids here is that they don't work as an individual, they work as a unit. Like the whole class works together to do whatever, right? The good or the bad. So anyways, yeah. And then from my own experience with the junior high boys, they tend to want to talk a lot about sex and more sex and more sex all the time. It's always sex. And then in elementary, I find if the kids hate English, I wouldn't take it personally, but I've had classes where they just do not listen. They either sleep or they talk with their friends. They completely ignore you. So there's like, they can be pretty awful and bad. Okay, and other than that, the bad for school, I have work in so many schools that you barely get to see the students as much as you'd hoped. So basically, you can be like me where you've got 7 different schools, and in each school you'll be teaching. It really depends. Like some schools are bigger, some are smaller, but in total I have about 80 something classes or 74 something, I can't remember, but it's a lot of classes, and because of that I can only see my students once a month basically at each school for every round that I do. And that means that it is so much more difficult to like get to know them and to be with them, right? So that's one thing that I found a lot of other ALTs felt when they had so many schools. They can't, it is impossible to get to know your kids on a personal level and try and help them beyond that kind of thing. And but I mean, it's been 7 months now since I've been teaching, and there's a few students now who have really opened up to me, or I can see the patterns of how they act in class, and I know how to deal with them kind of thing now. But anyways, yeah, so that's a thing. Okay, so next, problems with textbook grammar. So this one's kind of funny. Their textbooks that they use in elementary and junior high might have problems, and the teachers teach them what the textbook says. And I guess we just have to go with the flow. So sometimes you'll be teaching kind of bad grammar, but that's how their testing system is or whatever, so just gotta deal with that. Okay, so next, and again, that doesn't happen very often, so yeah. Okay, the next one is, okay. I've had teachers come up to me and ask, can you teach grade 3, please? Can you teach grade 1, please? And of course, yeah, it's super duper cool. And they'd be like, okay, so can you please read a story and can you please do an activity? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. And the first time this happened, I didn't prepare anything because the way that they were talking, it was as if they had everything prepared. So I show up and I'm like, okay, where's the books that I'm supposed to be reading? What am I supposed to be doing? And they said, oh, we didn't plan anything. It was supposed to be you. And that's when I learned. I was like, okay, so from now on, if anybody ever asks you to teach any classes outside of the norm, have something prepared, right? So I pulled out some like mini games and stuff, and we just had fun and played around. But yeah, so just that's something that's kind of like you run around in a panic in 5 minutes and try and like get a lesson together. Okay, next is schools forget to send your schedule. Now, as like in my own experience as an ALT, it would be amazing if I knew where the kids would be, what they're learning, what they're capable of, and all that before I came, and then I can make all my lessons before going into the classroom. But the truth is, some classes take like 4 visits to go through one lesson, one unit. So you have no idea what's going on. So you need to have that schedule that says when the students are learning specific grammar points, so you know how to like adjust your lesson. Because for example, I'd be teaching I study Japanese, that's a unit, and then after like 4 or 5 visits they're still learning it because they're super far behind or something, and then you have to keep creating lesson or activities and stuff that go around that lesson, right? So anyways, that's a thing that I wanted to write down. I was just like grumble about it. Okay, I've also got, okay, this is the last one I have for bad. They throw you into a classroom with no prior teaching experience. Okay, so that's a thing where, like, luckily I have an degree in education, and I worked in practicum with students and stuff, so I was used to kind of being thrown into the sharks. But for this, there's a lot of ALTs that I know that have never taught kids before, and their Japanese teacher has a lot of confidence in them, so they just kind of like, oh, you can do it, go, yeah, fight though. And they end up like just not knowing what to do. And it is completely normal for the first 5 months or 4 months, if you're lucky. For me, it took 6 months to finally get the flow of each classroom and the flow of the lessons and what activities work with students, and like what classes like which activities and stuff. So it does take quite some time to get adjusted to teaching English, right? So anyways, that's what I have for the bad. And now the good. The good. This is about schools. Okay, so the good. The first thing I have written down is the students, because as much as they can be really bad, they can also be really good. So I was having a really bad day, and one girl noticed, so she came to me after class and she told me, she was like, Jessica-sensei, are you okay? You have to fight though, keep going, be strong, and just like really motivated me, right? So that was really nice. But also, like, they can make you laugh. Like, Japanese kids are friggin' hilarious. Like, oh my god, there were so many times where they do something and then like tears would just come down because you're laughing so hard, right? And like, they want to help you, they want to talk to you. They work, like, again, as a close-knit community so that all the class will help each other out. For example, one boy I know for a fact has some sort of like mental disability, some sort of like, he seemed really anxious, and I'd give him a worksheet, and what I told them to do was fill out the words in the squares, which is a very simple task, but he was kind of like having a hard time. So the girl sitting next to him got up and walked over to him and like sat with him like a teacher and just started helping him out and like helping him step by step on how to do it, right? And to me, that was amazing. Like, and that's something I see a lot, is if there's a struggling student in the class, it's not the teacher that goes to help them, it's the other classmates. They want to help each other. So that is a huge benefit that I see out of the school system here. Okay, so the next thing is work. Okay, so this is a bad thing, but I also wrote it down as a good thing, is that you get to work in a lot of school, or if you get to work in a lot of schools, you get to see a variety of teaching styles. You get to see how all these other teachers do it. Some teachers, like, you might enjoy working with, others you're kind of like, meh, whatever. So that's a huge benefit. The next one is you can improve your management skills and be able to work spontaneously. Sorry, I'm like stumbling over my words here, but basically, you just gotta be like, oh, there's no time, no problem. I got something in my back pocket, right? So that is a huge benefit to your life skills that you can bring wherever you go after the JET program. You can be like, oh yeah, I have to do that. Boom, I have an idea. I can do this, right? So working under stress, like, well, not really stress. I don't know. Okay. Other good things is cultural exchange with both students and teachers. So I had, I would bring in, for example, I don't really have anything around, like an Aboriginal First Nations beadwork bag, and I would just put it on my teacher desk in the staff room, and teachers would come flocking and they'd be like, ooh, what's that? And that's where you can be like, oh, let me show you the world, and just like explain everything about it, and then you can get a really good conversation started there. And then same with the students. If you bring it into the classroom, you can talk about it, and then you can have an open conversation that's engaging because it's a real life thing. It's not out of a textbook, right? So that's a good thing. The next one is, oh, you get to see or be a part of cultural festivals or sports day events. So every school in Japan has a sport day and a culture day. So the culture day is where it's like super duper artsy. And the sports day is, of course, all about sports and teams, and like students go against each other and classes go against each other, teachers go against each other, like it's parents can go against each other, like it's really cool. And the schools will invite you to these things. If they don't, you can ask to go, because like you can go there. They would love to see you there. It would motivate the kids so much, right? And I've watched some videos on YouTube of other Jets where they were actually a part of the sports day, where they would join teams, and like it's a huge thing to these schools. Like they practice for weeks before the actual event comes. So these events, they're not just like oh yeah, you know, it's an art night or whatever. No, it's a huge event, which is really super nice. And okay, so that's all I have for the good. Now let's do the in-between. So the in-between with schools, the people you work with. So you're talking about the teachers and the principals and the volunteers and the student teachers and all that kind of stuff. They can be really, really, really helpful and amazing, and they care about you, and they make a really nice work team. Or you can be in a very non-comforting, non-respectful environment where the teachers hate each other, the principals hate each other, freaking everybody hates each other, whatever, or they just don't have like any time for you. They don't know English. They just like, they don't care about English. So that can make or break you in some places. Like if it can like really bring you down basically, or they can be really, really good. So that's an in-between. Again, the students. So the students can be good or bad. Okay, this one is a huge one, and it is language barrier. Now, there's so many times where not knowing how to say it in Japanese actually helped me, because I was able to open up conversation with other teachers and with other students and stuff. But there was also times where the teacher not knowing English and me not knowing Japanese kind of went really downhill. For example, there were activities and lessons where I needed the classroom to be set up in a certain way, and the teacher misunderstood me, so she like changed the classroom completely different, and like it took a while for the kids to do that, because they're kids, right? It takes them a while to get ready. So we ended up having to change it a little bit, which kind of changed the lesson a bit, but it still ended up working pretty okay. But language barrier is huge. Like, if teachers don't know how to communicate with you, to invite you to these like after school events or parties, or to invite you to the gym because there's an event happening, or stuff like that. Like, it's just something, language, knowing Japanese is so beneficial if you're like working in Japan. Okay, also another in between is you must be in the school for the day that you're scheduled to work there. So basically, if you are in a school and you have, say, even one class that day, and say your class is at 9 in the morning, after your class, so for the rest of the day until 4:30 or whenever your time off is, you have to be in that school, or you have to go to your downtown office where you can work there as well or something or whatever. But anyways, the point is that instead of having all that afternoon off, like to return home and to either work from home or relax or enjoy Japan, you have to be in the school. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Like for people like me, I love making posters and I love or I take a long time making lessons, so I use that time to make my lessons, right? So that's a good thing. But at the same time, it's also a bad thing because if you just do not want to talk to anyone, you're in a foul mood, you don't want to be there, you have to be there. So that kind of sucks. Anyways, okay. And the last thing that I have is, oh sorry, two more things. Oh no, one more thing. Okay, it takes, oh yeah, I said this before. So it takes about up to 6 months to really feel how to teach English in your classes, because every class is different. It's really difficult to gauge, like, does this class like the Karuta game? Does this class like the crossword puzzle word search game? Like, so it takes some time to get to know that. But once you know that, it is so much easier to make lessons for all your other classes. So after the 6-month hump, it's all downhill. So for the next, like, if you end up staying for the full 5 years, after those 6 months, the rest of your time here is gonna be way easier and really nice and like a breath of fresh air kind of thing. So anyways, that's what I have written down about the schools and stuff in Japan. Thank you very much for watching, and the next video I'm going to make is about life in Japan. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!